Hey, 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 hey. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Hey, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Tracy Massey. I am certified grief coach and founder of Living My Empowered Life. I teach people impacted by tragedy how to disrupt the cycle of grief and thrive in their new normal. Welcome to Tea Time Tuesday. This is where I come on and we have a little chit chat about all things grief, all things life, all things Tracy. And I answer your questions about grief, and we have a topic that we discuss. We have a good one for you today. This one was suggested by one of our dear family members from last week, and they posed a question about grief, career grief. So we're going to talk about career grief. First of all, did you even know that there was a thing? Yeah, it is. It is. Because if you've been following me for a while, or if you're new here, one of the things I say is that grief is more than just death. You can grieve the loss of a job, that what we're going to talk about tonight. You can grieve moving from one space to another. You can actually grieve graduation. I know that this is graduation season, and people, after you've been doing something for 12 years, if you graduated from high school, or 4 years, if you're graduating from undergrad or even grad school, once you finish graduation, what do you do now? What comes next? So, tonight we're going to focus on career grief, and this is an interactive live meeting. I don't want to sit here and talk to myself, okay? I'm never before you long. We get through the content, but the longer we're here is because you are asking questions, which I don't mind. So being interactive, comment in the chat. When you come into the room, I'm from the South. When you come into a room, you say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, just let me know sign. Let me know I'm not out here by myself. All right. First of all, let me take these off because I can't see. For one, they're filthy. So let me clean those off. And then we're going to get right into this content. All right. All right. If you're just joining, hop on in, grab a notebook, because you might want to jot some things down. I hope I drop some nuggets, some good gems for you. All right. So let's see. Oh, that's better. All right. All right. So like I said, we're going to talk about career grief. And I have my handy dandy notebook here, y'all. This is a big old notebook. And it's the life and mind of a creator. I write a lot. All right. So let's get into it because I want to be mindful of your time and mine. And I won't go to bed. So let me put my phone on silent because people always seem to text me or call or something right when I'm live. So here we go. Let's talk about the definition of grief. According to the American Psychological Association, the APA, I'm pretty sure y'all have heard of the APA before. APA format, throwing in my side, we're not going to go there. I just thought of a traumatic experience from college. Anyway, the definition of grief, according to the American Psychological Association, is the anguish experienced after significant loss, usually the death of a beloved person. And it may also take the form of regret for something done or sorrow from a mishap to oneself. That's a real fancy way of saying you're hurting after a loss. I have a personal definition of grief. My definition of grief is this unexpected, uninvited visitor that comes in at the most inopportune times and does not know when to leave. You got to teach it when to leave the house. That's just my unofficial Tracyism. All right. So when we're talking about career grief, I want you to think of a few things, like just keep a few things in mind. One, career grief is fairly common. It's not a subject that a lot of people talk about, but it is fairly common. Um, One reason being that our careers, sometimes we measure our careers by our successes. So you may have a high calling job, or have a high position in your job, and so your self-worth, your everything may be tied into this career. So if the career is gone, then poof, you're trying to figure out, well, who the heck am I? If you've experienced this, you can raise your hand on the other end. I'll see you. So our careers may sometimes measure our success, and we often compare who we are to what we do, or we tie in who we are with what we do. And that's not the case. You are someone before your career, you'll be someone after your career. You just have to make sure that you hold on to who that person is. Sorry, I'm getting a notification on my laptop. My laptop does whatever it wants to do, y'all. So, when we're talking about career grief, here's a couple things I want you to keep in mind. If you aren't sure, if you compare or tie in your self-worth with your career, I want you to pay attention to what you say when you're asked, well, who are you? If someone comes to you and says, hi, I'm so and so, tell me a little bit about yourself. If you start out with what you do in your career, you might want to look at that. Let's see. Changes in your career mean that there are changes in your livelihood. So you can grieve the changes in your livelihood. Again, if you started out in a high paying position and then all of a sudden you are retired, your income is a little different. Your livelihood, your lifestyle could change a bit. On the flip side, if you've had minimum wage jobs, or if you had low paying jobs and then all of a sudden you get this opportunity where you're making thousands of dollars a week, a month, a day, that can be overwhelming as well. You may not know what quite to do with that. So if you have taken a career loss and with the added stress of that career loss, how do you take care of yourself? You could induce some grief. And on the flip side, hey, Nicole, on the flip side, if you've had lower paying jobs or never had like a higher position where you're managing people or a position of leadership, you may be looking at yourself a little different. And then sometimes you can deal with imposter syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard of imposter syndrome before, but imposter syndrome basically is where you always feel like somebody is going to figure out that you're a fraud. It doesn't matter how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter how much training you have, how much experience you have. There's something in you that always feels like I am not good enough, and somebody's going to find out. Like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. That's imposter syndrome in a nutshell. So career grief can be due to the following things, not limited to this, but these are just a few things that you can possibly look out for if you have experienced or are experiencing this right now. Layoffs, that's a big one. Being fired, that's another big one. Company downsizing, demotions, promotion, starting a new job, or coworker changes. I don't know about y'all, but I've had some jobs where I've made some really good friends and some people that I don't ever want to see again in my lifetime. Father God. So when I've changed careers, there are some people that I actually missed on my old jobs. Like for my old job, I was on in one position for 16 years. So that's some longevity, right? I experienced career grief when I left that job. I walked away from my job of 16 years for the sake of my mental health. And it was just, I knew it was time for me to go. I knew it was time for me to go. I stayed longer than what I should have stayed. But in the midst of me walking away, I experienced the career grief. I missed not getting up at a certain time of day. My routine was off. Not driving into the office, not seeing the same people. I was missing my patients because I worked in healthcare before. And so I didn't know this at the time, but I was experiencing grief. Even though I chose to walk away, I was grieving my old job. Even on the position in the position that I am now, I changed teams like a year ago. So I started in one position with one team and then missed a promotion and I grieved that and then went on to a new team. So the grief in starting something new and ending something that I was familiar with, excuse me, I had to deal with that. And so the change in that, I actually got promoted. So the change in that, it was just like, wait, you can relate, Nicole. Yeah, it's a trip. The change in changing from moving from one position to another level and seeing a title behind my name, it's like, yo, wait a minute. Because I had to think about this little girl that grew up in the projects. Do I even deserve to be here? And so I had to work through all of the process of, yes, you deserve to be here. You know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you know how to find the person that does know what to do, and you can learn from them. Y'all are getting a peek inside how my brain works. All right. So, any questions? If you have any questions, if you think of something while we're going through, please feel free to put it in the comments. I will answer as best I can. If you were on not last week, week before last, you saw this topic was brought up, and I did not want to give a half answer. So I was like, let's come back and we'll talk about it. So feel free to ask. Feel free to chat. So y'all know, I got to give you some tools. I got to give you something to tell you, help you get through this thing. So what to do? What are you gonna do with this career grief? Welcome in, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so you know what I'm gonna do for the first thing. If you're grieving career grief, allow yourself space to grieve. Okay, you're going to process it. It's going to happen. You're going to grieve. You're going to have these emotions. You're going to have these feelings. Allow yourself to feel it. You're human. You're not a robot. If you log on to anything, it always asks you to confirm that you're not a robot. So that should tell you you're not a robot. Anyway, I'm tired, y'all. Stay with me. Stay with me. We're almost finished. So allow yourself space to grieve. Second thing, allow yourself time to adjust. If it's a change in your career, whether it be a positive change or a negative change, you have to allow yourself space to adjust, especially if you have a job loss or a demotion or a layoff. Even if you have a promotion, the change in that income, you have got to adjust to that. Especially now in this economy, all of us have had to adjust in some kind of way. 2020 taught us to adjust quickly. So take a moment to settle in that new reality. Like, okay, this career change has happened. I can't do anything with this right now. I can't change what has happened, but I can try to manage what's happening now and try to be proactive in what is to come. So if you have a change in your income, look at your budget. Look at I like to say the word spending analysis. I got a whole financial planner because I got tired. I could not, like, the word budget makes me cringe because it feels restricting to me. And so my financial planner was like, why don't you just say spending analysis? Yes. Yes. Thank you. See, that was a change. That was a change. So look at your spending analysis. What are your expenses? Where can you cut? What can you lower? Look at the stuff that's around your house. Can you have a garage sale right quick? What can you sell off? Do you have a talent or a skill that you can use to produce a side hustle? Let me tell y'all something. 2020, I saw so many people tap into their gifts and their natural talents and their skills, and now they are running full-on successful businesses. And a lot of them took what they did on their 9 to 5s and just turned it into their own thing. So each and every one of us has gifts. We have skills. Look at what you do. For instance, when I was in school, because I can type really fast and I have a good eye for some edits. This is before Chat GTP and Chat GPT, whatever it is. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the AI stuff. Before all of this, people will bring me their rough drafts of their papers and have me type it up. And then I will go and edit their papers. I wasn't writing it for them. Like, they had to go do the research. They had to actually write it, had to be in their words, but they would bring it to me. I would type it up and I would edit it. And people would pay me to do this. It was one semester in school where I did this like twice a year. So midterms and finals. I had a whole schedule, and I had regulars. People would pay me to do this. And it was a couple of years where I paid for my books just out of the money that I made typing up people's papers and editing them. Everybody's got a skill. Tap into your God-given gifts. Amen. Type amen if you picking up what I'm putting down. All right. So Settle into this new reality. If you're used to getting up and going into the office, continue to get up and act like you're going into the office. Put on some clothes. Because I don't know about y'all, but for me, if I get dressed up, I feel a lot better. Even if I'm sick. If I'm sick and you can get me some lip gloss, I start to feel a little bit better. So settle into your new reality. Number three, reflect on what role your career played in your life. Couple things to think about. If your career defines your self worth or your sense of self, ask yourself why. Why is my career tied up into who I am? If you draw confidence from your career, ask yourself why. Where else can you tap into your confidence outside of your career? Explore what your career means to you and if there's anything in your life that you could fill that gap. Explore. This is a great time to explore what your career means to you and if there's anything in your life that can fill that gap. I had a friend who recently she retired, and so she is an amazing artist. She does sculpting, she does jewelry making. I mean, this woman can create things out of air. Beautiful artwork. She's now retired. Guess what she's tapping into? Her art. She has, I think, coming up in a couple weeks, she has a show where she's displaying her art, her sculptures, her jewelry, all of these things. She has a friend who has a little storefront. She's going to allow her to place her art in there. She's going to have an art show, and people can actually come in and purchase her artwork. You see how that works? Tap into your natural gifts and talents. Look for aspects of your job that you enjoy most and what you least enjoy. This can help in your search for new work. So, for instance, say you spent 2 or 3 years as a data analyst. You may enjoy looking up the data and doing research, but you may not like inputting it. So, if you are not great at typing and putting in info, but you are great at researching and development, that may be an avenue that you can tap into. I know so many people who have career changes in their 30s and 40s. I know tons of people who went to college for one thing and their career is something totally different. I spent 16 years in the medical field, and I've spent the last 4 in finance and banking, commercial banking. How'd that happen? Tap into your new self. Define what you will miss. So, like I said, I've had many jobs in my life, um, but I'm of that generation where we stay on jobs for a long time. But thinking back from my first job when I was like 16 all the way up to now, way past 16, I've had many positions. What I do miss are some of the people that I've worked with. I've made some amazing friends from my job. So if you realize that you're going to miss your coworkers, what is stopping you from meeting up with them outside of work? I'm going to a friend's house in a couple of weeks that we used to work with for. I used to work with her 4 years ago. She's one of my closest friends now. So make arrangements. If you're going to miss your coworkers, make arrangements to meet them outside of work. Schedule a time where you can get together and have coffee or a good kiki, as we girls like to say. Let's see. Nicole said, please provide a recording. This is great and on time. It will be saved on Instagram. Yep, it will be saved on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I try to save all of my lives, y'all, unless we're going real left. And we do that sometimes. So last thing I want to leave you with before we dip into some questions. Oh, we're making real good time, y'all. I try to be on here for 30 minutes. Why am I sitting here rubbing my knees? Lord Jesus, let me stop. Last thing I want to leave you with, talk about it. Talk about what you're feeling. Talk about what you're going to miss about the job. If you have some fears about whether, like, if it's a negative or a positive change, Talk about it. Get you a counselor, talk to a career coach, talk to a grief coach. Um, but you got to get it out of your system. You have to have an avenue to express yourself and let these feelings out. Do not sit there and try to process all of this stuff by yourself. Because if you've done that, how's that working for you, Booski? If you try to process this grief by yourself, how's that working for you? Okay. So, any questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the chat. I know that there's a delay, so I'm going to pause for a moment. Feel free to ask your questions. If you don't have a question right now and something pops in your head later on, again, this will be saved. So please feel free to leave a comment and I will come back and answer your question either on the next live or in the inbox or, sorry, in the comment. So feel free to ask, y'all. That's what I'm here for. You get me for free. You get me for free while we're on this live. So take advantage. If you have any topics that you would like for me to discuss, please feel free to offer them up. I am open to suggestions. Also, it helps me to not suffer from decision fatigue because I got a whole lot of ideas, y'all. I can't sit here and put everything out on the internet. In the meantime, while the questions are coming through, if you guys are typing, there's still a delay. Please, please, please check out the newest episode of the Charging Station podcast. I am spilling all the tea about my DNA journey. It's so many plot twists, y'all. So many plot twists. So the first episode is up now. I'm doing a series entitled Branches. I've never done a series before, so this is the first one. And apparently, the people loved that first episode because within like 2 hours, we had 5,000 downloads. I was like, oh, okay, y'all like this. So next episode will be up Thursday. Supposed to be Thursday, but I might get excited like I did last week and put it out early, so you might see it tomorrow. But make sure you check out the Charging Station podcast. The link is in my bio, or you can find us on your preferred podcast listening platform. We're on all of them, y'all. Just look it up. The Charging Station. The Charging Station. All right. If there are no questions, y'all know what I'm about to do. Because it's about that time. Y'all, I get up at 4 a.m. Sister girl be ready to go to bed this time of day. And I still got on my real clothes. This my work clothes that I wore to work today. I'm ready to get comfortable. I'm ready to go shower. I already had my dinner. I'm ready to go shower and get in my PJs and call it a night. Read my good little book. I'm reading such a good book right now, y'all. I can't wait to teach this thing. Ooh, it's going to be delicious. All right. Check out the Charging Station. Email me if you have any questions. And I am going to exit stage left. I will see you guys in the feed or in my stories or wherever. Catch me on socials. But before I go, you know what I want. You know what I want you to remember? I want you to remember this one thing. God loves you. I love you. It ain't nothing you can do about it, boo. Boop. See y'all. Good night. Bye, y'all. Now, y'all know I know how to shut this thing down. Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? There it is. Bye, y'all.